Hello everyone and welcome back to Let's Play Megaman X7. In the last part, we entered the final stage, the Crimson Palace, and defeated Red, as well as took the right path at the path split, so now it's time for us to take the left path here, which is the longer, much more difficult pathway that also in some ways reminds me of some of the platforming in the final stage of X8. Now, the biggest enemy you're going to run into in this section is these Velgarder-looking dogs, just like the boss from the end of X1, and their fire breath. They are surprisingly high damage, but you can just avoid them by dashing through them. And honestly, none of the enemies in this final area are worth killing because either they are so small that you can just kind of avoid them otherwise, or they have way too much health for their own good. I say that after killing that one in like 3 seconds. Look, at this point in the Mega Man game, I'm likely to be one-shotting things usually, so you get what I mean. With that said, like I believe I noted last part, I should note again here that we are going to be seeing some semi-redundant footage here, in that the two pathways do have a room where they meet up, which has a blue and a red version of those dog enemies. And I showed that room, and I believe the final trek through the ending section of level before the boss rush. I think. Maybe I cut out past a certain point. I can't quite remember. Either way, that section's not only... This pathway, rather, not only has a 2D section, but it also has a 3D section that with another use of these giant weird laser towers. With that said, you want to be a bit careful here because there are some invisible walls in this level design, I believe, because they want you to somewhat follow the pathway, so... Be a little bit careful with X's gliding. It can be a little bit finicky to get through here. That said, usually I find the enemies just aren't worth fighting. Also, I believe this turtle enemy is in command mission, and if I recall, there's a couple of enemies in this game that are in command mission. It makes me wonder if it's the exact same character model. I partially doubt it, because I think X command mission was developed more so in line with X8, given the voice actors, but I guess I'll figure out that when I actually get to that game. And here we are at the point where the paths intersect, and I should note now I'm going to be speeding up the next room because we've already seen it. I just wanted to show this left path so I could say I showed off the entire Crimson Palace. And after that room is going to be the boss rush, and the boss rush for this game is relatively box standard. You got 8 teleporters that look like graves this time around, labeled throughout, that put you into a loading time, the refight against the boss, and another load time, and you're back. Obviously, that means I'm cutting out a lot of load times. You get a big health and a big weapon energy after every single stage, so in case you want it, or after every boss. So if you want to reuse multiple weapons against boss fights, you can. With that said, we've all been around here before. We know what that means it's time for. We're back with the main footage where I did the right path. It's time for some fast forwarding and music playing because this boss rush is long. The Phoenix Wright games are really good. I recommend them. I've been playing them blind on Twitch, and yeah, they're a trip. A lot of their VODs are available in the playlist, so I'd recommend go taking a look. Either way, that boss rush is very long. How long? Unsped up, that was 12 minutes. With load times not cut out, closer to 13? Yeah, it's a little ridiculous. Either way, time for the final boss's cutscenes.
All right, we know you're in there, so come on out, Professor.
Thanks for coming by, fellas. This way I can face you in the comfort of my own home. I guess this means you've already defeated all the worthless others.
So, it was you after all.
You never give up, do you? Even when we break you down to scraps, you always come back.
That's right, folks. I'll do it again and again. I will make X and Zero mine. Now come and get me. Give me a good fight, like you always do.
Okay, time for Sigma's first phase, which is easily one of his easiest phases in a while, albeit a long one. He's weak to Wind Krorang's weapon, whichever one that might be you're using. And his strategy this time around is to teleport around and use guns on you. Sometimes he'll walk and just shoot you with his giant rifle. Sometimes he'll go to either extreme of the stage and do a giant screw you laser beam. He can go into the background to do beam volleys of minor machine gun shots. He's weak to this weapon, but you might notice how little damage it's doing. This is his weakness mostly because it causes him to teleport and get knocked back, preventing his main attacks. Because it does so little damage, though, this fight can take a while. Even if you use, I believe, the versions of this weapon that Axel and X have, it doesn't do much more damage, except for maybe with the charge up, but even then, it's not willing to test it. Honestly, this Zero version that has infinite ammo and a good response time is more than effective enough. If I have to sit here for a little longer to get it done, I don't care with this fight. Also, I should note, I think I mentioned it when he first showed up in that cutscene with Red, but I love this voice for Sigma. It's not my preferred voice. I think the one from Maverick Hunter X and X8 is the best one. But there's just something about the way he goes, "Ah, hey, how you doing, fellas?" That's just almost funny in an endearing way. Like, yeah, I can see this guy being chummy back before X1. Yeah, this fight takes a while. Easily one of the longest Sigma first phases ever, if not the longest with his weakness. Because none of the others I can think of are this long, in phase 1 at least. Extreme 2's second phase can get about this long, though, from memory. But that's just because that final boss is, frankly, awful. Eventually, though, this strategy kills him. And that moves us on to the second phase, which in my eyes is one of, if not the hardest Sigma second phases on a first playthrough, despite the fact he has 3 different weaknesses. He's weak to the explosion weapon in terms of pure damage. The charge shot of the splash laser is very effective against him, and the Gaia shield can reflect one of his attacks back at him. As for attacks, he can T-pose and do a giant screw you laser out of his belt buckle. That hurts. He can teleport far away. In fact, he'll teleport between a lot of his attacks, which will... he'll then teleport far away and then punch into you, which really hurts. He causes these green projectiles to come down, which is what you can reflect back with either the Gaia Shield or the Goku Monken. He can teleport far away and spin for yellow projectiles that I don't think he can do much of anything besides avoid. He has a red projectile, which is when he gets super close in. If you want to use the explosion on him, that's the point to do it. Oh, yeah, and you can fall off and die. Watch out for that. The reason this fight ends up potentially being one of the hardest Sigma second phases to me is A, the situationalness of some of his weaknesses. B, sometimes he'll just decide to teleport far away often in a row, and getting over to him isn't viable in the time frame you have to shoot him, even with X and Axel's long range. And B, this is arguably the most damage Sigma has ever done to you. He is also very powerful in X1, admittedly, in his second phase. X2, not so much. Kaiser Sigma's big problem in X3 was more so his size and the size of his hitbox, or his the point you have to hit relative to the rest of the screen you're in. X4's no problem. X5 has some attacks that are hard to avoid, but honestly, I have other ways around it. X6's Sigma is a joke. This Sigma has an actual challenge factor. X8's Sigma is weird, but we'll get to why eventually. Yeah, that punch is really hard to dodge. As you can see, it took me a couple of runs to remember what to do here, because my practice had been a little bit longer away for this fight than I'd like to admit. I do like the fact he has multiple weaknesses and how they play into his attack pattern. I just think they needed to teach how those attacks could play into his attack pattern through either similar boss fights or other throughout the game. This game's design isn't exactly the best as we've seen. In a way, I do find it kind of funny how X6 and X7 have so many different problems so many different ways, but they end up being, in a lot of ways, around the same level of quality. But I definitely have a preference for which one I would play. Also, for some reason, as we see right here, when you get Sigma down to half health, his mask explodes off, and his head is just there now. But I find this comical because A, his head looks comically tiny compared to the rest of his body, and B, in a lot of his attacks, his mouth is open in almost a kind of kind of way. It's hilarious. With that said, beware whoever you hit the final hit of Sigma with, as depending on whoever deals the final blow, their ending is what plays, because the way the endings work is you get the universal FMV, and then you get a cutscene in the style of the cutscenes from X6 / the rest of this game, where it's just the talking dialogue portraits. I'm showing off all three in the sequence of X, Axel, and Zero, as it feels that's sort of what's canon. Honestly, the order doesn't matter, but that's just what I feel is the best way to go. So yeah, beware of that. But otherwise, Sigma, if you know what to do, very easy final boss. If you don't, arguably one of the most annoying Sigma fights. Music's pretty good, though. Screw you, Sigma. Thank God, we're done with this game. And with that, that is game.
Oh. This way! Hurry! Axel!
I will return in a new form. I promise you.
I found you, Zero and X.
Very nice, friend. Give me your power. It's time for revenge.
Oh, with this power, I'll never
lose!
Axel, wake up.
Are you okay?
Pretty cool, eh? You've got to give me some credit.
Fine, let's get out of here.
Hey, wait for me!
Last week, an outbreak of Mavericks caused a riot at the energy plant. Then, Axel showed up to quell the unrest. Mavericks disappeared from the scene without a trace. Then, 3 days ago, when mechanoloids on the wharf went berserk, Axel destroyed the mechanoloid that was blocking the ship's hatch, securing an escape route for the crew. This case did cause 16 casualties, however. In addition, Axel has shown up to assist in a total of 14 incidents involving Mavericks.
He's made mistakes. But in any case, Axel's efforts over the last few days have solved a lot of problems. X, do you think we could make Axel a hunter based on his good deeds?
No way! Don't you get it? He must not be rewarded for such methods.
Methods? X, ideals are not always for the real world. Without you, somebody has to become a hunter. Why can't you train Axel to be one?
Never! You could never train somebody to be a hunter like me. It is impossible.
Please give it some thought. We may not be able to afford to stand by without fighting, although I know that's what you wish for. And we all know that we haven't seen the last of the Mavericks.
But why? I tried so hard!
Now you listen well. Being a hunter is not all about defeating the obvious enemies. If you don't understand this, I can't allow you to become a hunter.
I don't understand. I just did what I thought was right and fought those who did wrong.
That won't bring true peace. It will only create new resentments.
But I only followed your lead. I did what you did.
what I did was wrong. I just took far too long to realize that.
Outbreak in the West Sector.
I'll take care of it. I can handle this, X. I'll get you to make me into a hunter yet.
Wait, Axel!
Why don't you let him do what he wants this time?
No, if I don't stop him now, he'll make the same mistakes we did.
X?
Where am I? Huh?
Eliminate the Mavericks. The Mavericks. Eliminate the Mavericks.
X.
The Mavericks.
What happened, X? Just a dream.
Zero? Zero, do you read? We've located the runaway Maverick Grogs at point F5113. I want you to head there immediately.
I hear you, Alia. I must have fallen asleep. I'm on my way. I hope that was really just a dream.
Ooh, foreboding as Zero's endings tend to be. But, holy shit, yeah, that's X7. I've been trying to keep my best to keep positive throughout it, but this game is bad. And this is where the controversy comes in a lot of ways, because X6 and X7 are often compared as games as to see which is the worst one. I'm of the mindset this is worse than X6, because X6 at the end of the day, the problem is level design. You could fix a lot of that if that game just had more time to cook. Because we know that engine can do good games because of X4 and X5. This game, being the way it is, honestly, I feel almost was doomed from the outset, because I don't think the way they were trying to do a 3D Mega Man game could have worked the way they did it here. And because of that, there are, I'd like to say, 4 different camps of Mega Man X players. Those who prefer X7, those who prefer X6, those who decide to never play either because they both know they're bad, or those who are smart, have played both, and just say they're both bad. I'm of the camp that hates this game more. To be frank, I don't think I'm ever going to touch this game again unless it's like for some sort of charity marathon. This game is awful. The voice acting is awful. The music isn't too memorable. The only cool things about this game are the team mechanic where you can switch between characters, which they bring into X8. Axel's really cool. Some of the voice actors, just hearing who they are is funny, like Sigma sounding like that, Cygnus being Alucard from Symphony of the Night, Red being Barry Burton from the original Mega Man X7, or from the original Symphony of the Night, from the original Resident Evil. Wow, my brain can't work right now. That's kind of funny. The only thing I'm glad about otherwise with X7 is that it existed, because I think even Capcom to a point realized how much they screwed up with this one, where they just made X8 a 2.5D game with excellent voice acting and super tight mechanics to compensate. The only problem is X8 didn't sell well, so unfortunately this game sold more. Thankfully, it's done. And I made sure I did it in such a way where I would basically leave no stone unturned other than the extra cutscenes. I should note, though, depending on which version of the game you're playing, you're going to be hearing a different song right now. This is the instrumental version of a song called Lazy Mind. In the Japanese version, they play the lyrics version, which I'm going to be playing at the end of this video. But in the Mega Man X Legacy Collection 2, this game got a new credits theme in the Japanese play version called Breakout that I recommend looking up. I'll put it in the description if I can remember to, because that is a good song. The only reason I didn't record it is that would require me playing the game through a third time for this LP, which I was not about to do. Doing the second playthrough for the Japanese credits song was enough for me. Thank you very much. But yeah, that's X7. I hate this game. The only thing I don't show here is that after this thanks for your playing screen, you get taken back to the save screen so you can make your New Game Plus file to get extra upgrade chips and all that kind of jazz. I'm good. Thank you very much. But with that, I'm going to need to end this Let's Play off here. Thank you guys for watching. Have a great night. Take care. And I'll see you guys next Let's Play, which is hopefully a much better goddamn game. See you guys then.
Katama